Grab your popcorn because we're going to the movies. We're talking about No Holds Barred, the movie starring Hulk Hogan. Are you ready, Mooney? Do you have your goobers and your popcorn ready?
Oh, I'm all set. And Steve, starting out here, we really have to I have to make a statement here and say
Oh,
that it was a week in the movie industry that really showed you what a great film looked like,
mm,
that just would be remembered forever and stand up with, just a great story.
of course.
Because as you know, that was the week that Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade came out. So we have that. And then that same week, whoo, whoo, and that was a gesture. I don't know when I will forgive you for this because I
Wow.
want everybody to know that, I have now watched No Holds Barred twice in my
Twice.
life. The first time was when we were all required to go to the premiere in Stamford to watch it, and then you persuaded me to watch it for this episode of
No. No.
the Golden Era.
Yes. Yes. I did persuade you.
And
Now, that's hilarious you said that. Were you paid to watch the first movie, or is like, hey, Mooney, clock out at 5. We'll see you at the movie at
no,
7
dude, it
tonight.
was it was like every other things going that I've mentioned back then that it was required attendance, like some of the parties and the gatherings that they would
Mhm.
have. And this was, yeah, it's going to be this night, and everybody's going to be there, and you're going to be there. So we in Stamford, and you actually get to see some of the video there is out there that shows the premiere. It was at one of the theaters there. Didn't exactly look like Hollywood, but man, oof, uh, just so much to dig into here
Yeah.
because it was. I mean, you know, I want to give credit. I really wanted to find the, and there are some good points about this, but as I said before, it was a week in the movie industry that was, we saw things that we never seen before. But really, when it comes down to it, it shows you just how difficult it is really to make a great movie and how
Right.
much goes into it. Uh, right at the top of the shelf there is acting. So uh, really, people don't realize just how difficult it is
Mm.
for people, and then, like, the difference between people knowing lines and hitting their marks and
Hmm.
seeming to be, and then people that really know how to act. And there were some talented actors in this. Hulk Hogan was not among them. I'm sorry
Wow.
to say. I mean, come on, that's
No, you're
that's a
right.
whole other basket. That I think that's one of the things that really, I mean, when it comes down to what held uh, Terry back from having this big Hollywood career that Vince McMahon was hoping was going to erupt from this, because we have seen other people be able to go on. I mean, Dwayne Johnson,
Of
The
course.
Rock, of course.
John Cena,
People.
Batista.
Very good actor, Batista. Oh my God! I mean, look what he's doing today.
It's amazing.
But you do have to give credit to Hulk Hogan for crossing that line and opening that door where it was really uh, closed before. Roddy, of course,
Oh,
Roddy
yeah.
Piper had done some films that became cult classics,
Jesse Ventura.
and Jesse, of course,
Right,
too.
right.
But yeah, this was supposed to be this big giant blockbuster that was going to launch Hulk Hogan's Hollywood career, and he made some films, but I think outside of Rocky three, um, theatrically remembered, it's not real well. So
No, no. I think one of the biggest problems too is bringing your audience who's watching you weekly on television to the theater. Because now, if you're a little kid watching Hulk Hogan on Superstars or Saturday Night's Main Event, now you have to convince your mom and dad, hey, Hulk Hogan's in this movie. I want you to bring me to see this. So it's like, well,
Mm. Yeah, but
then
you really think that was that difficult of a mission to have these kids persuade their parents to take them to see Hulk Hogan? People were very into Hulk Hogan and what he was doing for their children at the time, as far as he preaching take your vitamins, say your prayers. I mean, all this very wholesome. And so I don't think that was a tough ticket to sell. As we know, with that box office, it wasn't bad. And as I mentioned, the Indiana Jones movie that was out, The Last Crusade, that was the same week it came out, and No Holds Barred was number 2 at the box office. Now there was a big disparity between what Indiana Jones brought in.
yeah.
But at that time, $5 million, I think, was that opener, was not a bad gate. And to be number 2 in the box office. So it shows you right there, the point being that a lot of people, a lot of those kids persuaded their parents to take them and the family and their friends to go see it. And they showed up for it. And that's why I think that it did as well as it did. Without that core audience, I can't even imagine what it would have made.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, I saw Suburban Commando in theater as a child because I was a Hulk Hogan fan, but I don't know what that movie did. But let's break down some stats though for you, because No Holds Barred was in the average amount of theaters was 1,318. Indiana Jones, I'm going to defend Hulk Hogan. Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade was in 2,327 theaters. So that's about, what, another 1,000? Just 1,000 more theaters. And then underneath, No Holds Barred. You have See No Evil, Hear No Evil. But you also have the third week of Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner making $3 million in 1,000 theaters. So we're not going against slouches who have already been out in the theaters.
No,
because
no.
So I'm not saying No Holds Barred was this Oscar-winning movie and things like that, but I will defend that they made a movie, the WWF and Vince, for their audience. They weren't looking for a new audience. They were like, all right, Hogan's already popular in the genre we've created over here. What if we create another genre? Vince McMahon used to make music albums, so why not try making a movie? So successful, technically, money-wise, yes. Box office, huge moment for Hogan in the theater and Vince McMahon, no. So I'll defend Hogan and Vince for the idea, but it didn't work out for the outside audience.
Yeah. But as you said, yes, they did make this for their core audience, had that audience in mind. But I will tell you, we were reaching out to try and bring in more people from the outside, where it would appeal to children who maybe haven't been into professional wrestling, but this was a way to take that hero, that comic book character in a sense, and introduce them to new audiences out there and in effect bring them to the fold with the WWF. So that was always a part of it. Another example too here, the massive marketing that went into this, and very innovative when you think about it, the crossover that they had considered here, and in many ways it was ahead of its time. It really hadn't been done before at that kind of an extent. So once again, and I've always lauded the way that they promoted the WWF back then, really a lot of brilliance. And this was another example. They had plans for this with the movie all along, that Zeus was going to be this character that would continue on. He'll have a feud with Hulk after this movie's over, as we cross that line between make-believe and reality, and have this go on and give more to our audience, but also attract all this attention. And so that was another box that they checked off, because that was pretty successful, but it ran its course. Of course, they knew it was going to be at some point, it wasn't what much else you could do with it. But then have a pay-per-view event surrounding it. So marketing wise and promotion wise, that was another success.
Yeah. I don't think people give this like the Zeus character always gets looked at like, oh well, it's Zeus. Dude, June 2nd, 1989 is the debut of No Holds Barred the movie. By August of 1989, it's Zeus in the main event of SummerSlam with the Macho King
Yeah.
versus Bruce Beefcake and Hulk Hogan. We even go to Survivor Series with Zeus involved in storylines with Hulk Hogan being on the Million Dollar Man's team and Powers of Pain versus Demolition, Jake, and Hogan. And then we have this culmination in December. Another pay-per-view featuring Zeus, highlighting No Holds Barred. No matter what you say about Vince, he was not going to give up. If someone thought it was a failure, he's like, well, I'm going to put all my effort into proving all of you it's not a failure. Making $5 million opening weekend, it cost $8 million to make, making $16 million. So in reality, he's using his own programming to promote his shows instead of having to pay for commercials all over different markets. To me, it's a brilliant move. No matter how you think of the movie, how you think of Zeus, he was dedicated to the cause. Vince, that is.
Oh, no question about that. And you mentioned Zeus. You really do need to give credit here to Tiny Lister, who was the actor that was involved in the movie and beyond. He was a scary character, right? The people still thought, and he lived that character, in and out of the ring,
Wow.
all the time. And he was. You could have had somebody on there that was, big, muscly, whatever, but wasn't scary. With the eye and everything like that, he scared the crap out of kids. And just that intensity, that vibe around him of violence that you felt. He was great. He was perfect for that part, and he played it to the hilt. And I was motivated last night because I was, after watching, thinking, I know this guy. He was a serious actor. People remember him as Debo in Friday, the Ice Cube movie, and that was probably his most remembered role. But go and check out IMDb. His career was very long, and he was in all kinds of movies. I was just amazed, thinking, I don't remember the roles. I saw some of them. I remember.
I think he's in Batman.
Oh yeah,
Christian Bale.
and look at his list of acting credits. It's pretty amazing. But the point here is that he really did help sell No Holds Barred and that whole scenario that they put together. And we talked before about the WBF guys when they would come to these arenas, and and how the shit that they would get from people, not just the boys, but fans and everybody.
Yeah.
When Zeus would come there, the boys respected him too, because they knew he was a legit tough guy, but the character that he had was so believable. So it was a great selection and casting there for him, because I think that as far as that went, and overall, and being able to have somebody who had no clue about professional wrestling and was very limited at what you could do with him physically, really did pull it off. I think that it was just perfect. He was just the right guy for that whole role.
I'm always shocked when you see people like, oh, why wasn't he doing this? Like, dude, he's a monster. He's not going to be getting you in arm bars. He's going to twist your head. He's going to do that move when he clinks his arms together behind your head. He's going to choke you. He's going to stomp you.
Gonna do this a lot.
Yeah, he's going to do this. I don't know if he's got the Z in his head.
Yeah.
Before we get to more promotional parts of this, I really want to talk about, so you watched the movie, and so did I last night. So we have Rip Thomas, who is Hulk Hogan, just in different colors. Everything. He's the biggest star in professional wrestling. He's the biggest star
in the
television.
WWF.
In the WWF. The first thing you even hear, you have Mean Gene Okerlund, Jesse Ventura, Stan Hansen's there. You have a lot of key characters in the WWF. It's called WWF in the
Yeah.
damn movie. Why do you think they were like, all right, well, Hulk Hogan, we need him to act. We need a name like Ripped. We're gonna, he's ripped, Rip Thomas. Why do you think they needed to change his name? But everybody else seems to exist in the realm that the WWF exists without Hulk Hogan in that world.
It really didn't make any sense. I mean, here we have it's the World Wrestling Federation. They didn't even change the name to some other
No!
the Universe Wrestling
Yeah,
Federation.
yeah,
You know, they
anything.
could have made it, yeah. But they didn't. And then yeah, you have Gene Okerlund in there. You've got Jesse and Rip Thomas, and he's got the whole same thing. He's wearing a white T-shirt with blue instead of the red and
Yellow.
gold.
Yeah.
And he rips the shirts off, and it's Hulk.
The
So
bandana,
yeah,
everything.
and I would honestly, I think that why not expand his brand that way as Hulk Hogan in the movies that had been done before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense to me back then. It still doesn't make sense to me that he just wasn't Hulk Hogan conquering another. But I think maybe in Vince's eyes, and as far as the storytelling goes, that they were afraid of the idea that they would have to admit, because man, we're still kind of on the edges of kayfabe back then, that they would have to admit that Hulk Hogan was a made-up character, was not this, crazy, guy that they have for this movie. It had to.
I
It
was
had
going to
to
say
be,
that. Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
but I mean, it had to be a different character so he could step away.
Yes.
But it really, honestly, it didn't make any sense. If you're going to do that, then change a lot more about him, like they did with Thunderlips.
Right.
That everybody, even at the time, knew that was Hulk Hogan. He wasn't as big as he would get, but everybody knew that. And he was Thunderlips, and he had a whole different persona. Remember, he had the big hat that he wore, and
Oh yeah. He had his
had a
big
cape,
bro.
and yeah,
Big
big.
Jeez.
Right, and so why not? If you're going to do that, then change the character. Don't make Hulk Hogan with just a different name.
Yep. And he rip him. He's doing this, rip him. Everyone's chanting that. But we have the evil TV executive Tom Brell. He's jealous of Rip's popularity. He wants to know why he can't get Rip Thomas, to be on his television program. He offers him a blank check in the movie. He's very upset. Do you think Ted Turner is supposed to be Tom Brell?
It's just because you read my mind. Yeah, you think? I'm surprised they didn't change his name to
It's like Fed Burner. Yeah.
Ed Burner or something like that. Something that would be very similar. But oh yeah, and there are lots of pokes and digs in there throughout the movie to make the crazier that he would be. Is that what I'm surprised that they didn't have Kurt Fuller, adopt some kind of Southern accent.
Like a mustache, like
maybe
little things like
but
that.
maybe that was just too much. But that was certainly the idea of the character was Ted Turner, no question about it, and how he couldn't stand the fact that this guy's on another network, on another television, and they keep beating them in the ratings, and he's got to get even.
Dude.
So yeah, there was a lot of that, and supposedly they rewrote this script several times, and the lore is that Vince and Hulk locked themselves in a hotel room for 72 hours and rewrote the whole thing. And I don't know about that. But
Yeah. Well, if they
you know what? It didn't help. I'm sorry.
No, the rewrites didn't exist. It shouldn't have been there.
But overall, let's review.
Okay.
When you think about it, the story isn't that bad.
No.
If you think about, just tell me the story. Like give me the premise. It's this, very famous wrestler, and there's this network that's jealous of him, and they bring in the love interest, and He's got a brother that he's got to protect. It had like all these elements that, okay. It's just how you tell it.
Right.
It was so over the top and it was so Vince that, the most talented writers are able to take those characters and develop them, and the peeling of the onion, as I've talked about before. And in this way, they'll envision a character and then you go out and try and find that character. Well, this way it was, look, we got Hulk. So you tell me how you make him work the best.
Right.
And there have been several films that have been made that involved very famous people that not necessarily were from that world, but they're put into a story where they're able to really shine.
Right.
There's so that's part of it. But here you had to make Hulk come alive on the screen there, and he just didn't have the chops.
No.
You don't buy any of that love interest stuff. It's so awkward. It's cringy when he hugs her and he pulls her over on top of him, and
the bed broke, Mooney. He didn't pull her on top. The bed broke.
Right. The bed collapses. She happens to just roll over on top of him. And it just, it was just, it just didn't work.
I'll tell you one thing, though. I, honest to God, after watching it, I was like, this movie wouldn't have been bad because it's the 80s. So it felt very 80s. We're going to explode from cars and there's car chases and bad guys. And it was the editing. To me, it was the editing. Like, it felt like you sat on scenes too long. So suddenly I'm watching it. I'm like, if this was re-edited, it wouldn't be as bad as it looks, because some of the scenes, you're right, are just cringy. They're awful. Like, what are we doing here? The biggest scene, the most famous scene, is Hulk Hogan refuses to take the check from Brell. So he gets back in the limousine that this evil man gave him to drive him back home or the airport. And Hogan realizes he can't get out of the car. He's moving like this. So the limo's also moving because Hulk Hogan's so strong he can move a car from inside it.
The door.
Is kicking doors like the bullet marks. But when he jumps out, now he can't get out of the doors, Mooney, but he can explode from the roof. So he explodes from the roof, lands on it in slow motion, beats everybody up in classic 80s styles, grabs the driver. And the driver, we see a close-up of his butt, and it's wet, and it's brown, and it's icky. And we get Hogan in the best facial expression ever. Like, what's that smell? Dookie.
Yeah.
The driver yells out, Dookie! That, so when you said, if that's Vince McMahon, that is Vince McMahon. Who's like, I got a great idea. And then he writes that down.
Vince loved toilet humor. Oh, God, he loved it. And it was always so cringy and so wrong. And that was absolutely him with that.
That's the most famous scene from the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the kids loved it when, right? When he goes, it's Dookie. But if you go to any just random clip, what comes up when you say no holds barred? It's the Dookie scene.
Always.
So if that's all that people really, what stands out to you, you didn't make a great movie.
No. And then Vince made up the term jock ass. Like, he's a jock ass. Yeah. The evil Brell kept calling Hulk Hogan a jock ass. But we saying Dookie, we can say ass. They also say some very offensive terms in today's world, but in 1989 they said it in the bathroom to two gentlemen, and they said it out loud. And I'm like, we can say all this, but we can't say shit or crap. We have to say Dookie.
Jock ass.
But it's the most famous scene from the movie, so I guess they shouldn't have changed it. I did like the Battle of the Tough Guys. Like, this is where in the movie you're seeing dudes kick the shit out of each other in a bar, and Stan Hansen's there, and it's a lot of funny scenes. Like, that was my favorite part. The parts that Hulk Hogan wasn't on screen was my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like I said, the storytelling that's not a bad angle. They're going to have a tough guy competition, and like I said, the story if it were told by someone else, I don't know, the different people that they had put it together, or somebody director at Vince had been just not allowed to be near it, maybe it would have been a different outcome. But yeah, those scenes with Stan Hansen and Ben Veal interviewed Kurt Fuller, who was Brell, and great sit down they did in England, and it was very interesting to hear Fuller's take on all of it, because he knew it was early in his acting career. He would go on to do a lot of other stuff, but he talked about how it was not. He knew when he was making it was not going to be this great classic, but he mentions that Stan Hansen was like the best actor of all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that he goes, if that guy wanted to be a character actor, a bad guy, he goes, he could have had a pretty good career. So it's always interesting when you get these people. Like Joan Severance, she had quite a career. She did a movie with Mel Gibson and other great actors. When they get kind of mixed with people that don't come and don't know really about their craft, it's got to be very difficult to have to work with people like that. And I really felt for her, because I'm sure, working with Hulk, and she's trying to create this, believable relationship between them. Mm-hmm. But that was just not going to happen. There's one scene there where they're together and they're going to kiss. And you're just thinking, how is he going to do this? Because it will not. When they finally, those lips meet, it's just not going to work. And
no.
I mean, just so like the pacing and the timing of how things go. The one scene where she's in the parking garage because she is turned against Brell.
Yes.
And she's got her dry cleaning in her hands. And she's trying to punch her coat. And this guy comes in. He's going to basically rape her. Right? And the Hulkster Rip shows up on his motorcycle. And he hits the guy with the motor. The guy's trying to run off, and he gets him up on the handlebars, and he's laughing through it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember this when he's got the guys in the handlebars, and he's gonna take him out and
I don't know what
throw him off the motorcycle, and he's going ha ha ha, and I'm thinking your girlfriend just got almost raped in the garage. She's back there on the ground. And you're like, and you would have thought somebody's like, Terry, I don't think at this point you'd be laughing. I think you'd be really pissed and it's, that just like this, it just didn't work. And I don't know. And maybe you're in a situation where Hulk Hogan's this gigantic star, and maybe people weren't comfortable telling him, "Look, I'm trying to help you be an actor here." If they would have had somebody that could have done that, but I'm sure I delivered lines all the time. That's fine, And
take one. That's all I want to hear. I want to hear take two.
I liken it to, remember when I said I went to work for the WWF and I'm in the event center, and Howard Finkel is telling me how to do the event center, and he's a ring announcer. And have it be, and it's just not for that genre, that where we are, that type of spitting the words out doesn't work.
No.
And that's what a lot of this was, Brell threatening him and Hulk, the looks and the too long, like you said, the way you cut it and you edit it, and you just don't buy it. You don't buy the reaction.
Nope.
And so, yeah.
There's one scene though you brought up about we have Samantha Moore is this character who gets brought in to help Rip Thomas become more marketable. Oh, more children visits, more of this, more of that. Yeah. Then out of nowhere they go on a trip. Suddenly Hulk Hogan knows French at this fancy French restaurant. She thinks he doesn't know. They go to a hotel. There's one bed. They put a sheet. Oh, how cute.
Room.
Will they, won't they? I don't know. And the bed breaks. She falls on top. Out of nowhere. Now remember, we are in a hotel. We are far away on a business trip. Remember, out of nowhere, we cut to the next scene. She is in Brell's office in the same clothes she was just in, and saying like, "I can't do it. I love him. You don't get it." Like, how did you get from nighttime in
Okay.
this hotel? I drove me crazy. That was the part. I was like, I wrote this down. I was like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, sorry, I went to film school.
What
I'm
do
a
they call
film
that?
student
Yeah,
nerd.
creative license. I think
Yeah,
is that. That's
I'm a
called.
film nerd. I'm sorry. I don't like that. But that
No.
was one scene. It took me out of the scene. It took me out of the movie. I'm just saying.
Well, a
Just
lot
saying.
of it took you out of the movie. As I said, a lot of the stuff, maybe for 8 and 9 year old kids, that all works. But if you're going there, and right, we all go there, we're ready to go. Take me for the ride. This is why I always have problems with movies that don't add up. I mean, I'll go for the ride, but make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense, as you said. Hulk's in a limousine and he's kicking the sides, and it looks like bullet holes or
Yeah,
something
but
are
then
coming out of the side.
how is it
Doesn't even
moving?
look like a real kick coming through the door, and it's making the entire limousine go back, crash into the things, and then, as you said, and then he blasts through the roof.
How he couldn't he kick it, but he could
How does
blast through
that
the
happen?
roof.
Right, launched.
Brrr.
Yeah. So that's why make it make sense. I'll go. I'm with you.
Mhm.
Just even I'll give you some leeway there. But when you're doing things that are just don't make any sense, then you lose me. And that's what happens in this because a lot of creative license in this movie. No question about it.
Yeah, Rotten Tomatoes gave it 10%. So that's not very good,
No.
based on anything you're doing. But again, the Battle of the Tough Guys, I really enjoyed.
Right.
We also have Rip's brother who gets beaten the crap out of by Zeus in the movie, so that gives motivation to Hulk Hogan to get revenge. Honestly, I feel like Hogan and Vince in that 72 hours being locked in a hotel watched all the Rocky movies. Where they're like, how do we take all this? Just jam it into one movie because we had the inspirational trainer who was training Rip, but also used to
Yeah.
train Zeus back in the day. Like, it's just little things like that where clearly
Like Mick.
someone,
Yeah.
yeah,
He's
it
like the
did,
Mick character
yes,
from Rocky. Yeah.
exact. And we have Samantha Moore, but she
Yeah.
wasn't really Adrian because Adrian didn't turn on Rocky. Like little things like that
And
really
didn't
took
look
me
like a
out.
supermodel. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, she looked like a normal person
Which
that you'd
she
actually
was.
see.
Joan Severance was a supermodel.
Yes, yes. So very weird stuff here. I would say if you're trying to get Hulk Hogan to make a movie, 1989 isn't the right time. I would say 85 when 86 when where we got Cyndi Lauper, MTV's behind us. Like MTV is no longer working with the WWF. You have NBC and you have Saturday Night's Main Event, but they're not probably wasting time on this. So like do you feel like maybe timing was an issue, or this movie could have ended up in any year and it never would have been this hit they thought
That's yeah. Nothing would have helped.
it? All
No,
right.
no,
All
nothing
right.
would have helped. It would have. It was going to be what it was. Uh, would the box office been a little bigger? I don't know. Maybe if you would have ridden that wave with the rock and wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But overall, no. There's
Okay.
nothing that was going to save this movie. And if people were honest. And I remember when we were, as I mentioned, we all went to this premiere, and Randy was there, Randy Savage was there. They brought in some of the superstars to watch it with us, and I remember looking around, and it was those looks, the look where you're going, and everybody's kind of going, you know. But anybody asks you, oh, it's great, it's wonderful, and I saw there's on YouTube. There's that promo that Tony did, and Tony had recently arrived there, and they were kind of plugging him, and he does this thing in the lobby where he interviews people.
Yep.
All those people were from the company. Like,
Hey, random person.
yeah, yeah. But it was. Ask anybody there. It was the greatest film they've ever seen. Everything. It was this wonderful game. It delivered everything you'd want in a movie. It was great. The laughs, the drama, the love interest, the
Twist the turns.
the ending that gave you everything you wanted, and he's a hero. And but we're all thinking, oh man, this is not good.
Well, Gorilla Monsoon on television said it was Oscar worthy.
uh,
And so maybe everyone thought this, but not Gorilla on television. He said that
I'll
the
tell you right
Oscars
now.
were
I'll tell you
talking
right
about
now.
it.
Gorilla did not believe that. Okay,
He
I
said
can
it on
tell you.
television.
I will tell you. Yeah, yeah. But he's working. All right, that's what the business is all about, brother. We're all
Yeah.
working, and we know, and we made a living over putting people over, and that included movies, and
Yes.
that's exactly what Gorilla Monsoon was doing.
Well,
But man, that was come on.
I love
that
that
was
clip.
that
That
was a
clip
bit of a
pops up
stretch.
all the time. You see him, he's like, I don't know if
Yeah.
anyone's seen this movie, but this Oscar level
Oscar.
buzz, people are really interested. And I was like, what? No. Like you can see him trying to hold down his laughter. But for
Yeah.
you too, working in the company, let's talk about that now. Is the WWF turned their weekly shows into commercials for this movie because we're hyping it up. What was it like being told, like, hey, when you're doing the event center, we also need you to hype this movie up? Like, you sit there and go, well, I saw this movie. Can you write some words for me, maybe?
Oh, come on. That wasn't hard at all. That was my job. And it was what do you need me? What do you need me to do? I'm promoting our product, and I will do everything I possibly can to help you do that. Even though I was still getting over my disappointment and shock that they didn't have some role for me,
Wow.
because Jesse, and
Howard
Gene
Finkel?
Howard Finkel, and little known fact too that do you know Joey Morella, Gorilla Monsoon's son, who
Yeah.
everybody I think remembers as a referee, was also the referee in the movie,
Wow.
the beginning one, and Bill Eadie. Let's not forget Bill Eadie was in there.
Yes, I forgot he
Axe and
was. Yeah,
Smash,
yes,
right?
yes. They're there. There's a
And
lot of
and
people.
uh, and Bill Eadie tells a story that Barry was supposed to be the guy that was going to be up against Hulk Hogan, the first match in that movie. You see,
Oh, wow.
and he tells the story of that Hulk wasn't real comfortable with Barry. He hadn't worked with him that much, but he'd done
Okay.
several matches had been involved with Bill and really trusted him. And he said, Barry could have cared less. That meant he got 3 days off. And
Yeah.
and so, but he says, they went into where they had a warehouse, and I think it was like Topeka or something where they did
Wow.
this. I don't know. Maybe it was because of commitments on the road or something, and they found that warehouse and to shoot the scene. And they had prepared to be shooting all day long, like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow.
and have this crowd there all day and going on, and he said they did it in one take. He said I think it was like a 12-minute match, and they had all these cameras positioned so they could shoot all these different angles, because you're an editor, you understand that how it works, that
Oh, yeah.
the more stuff you have, the more you can cut. And in the movie, what is it, 2 minutes?
Yeah,
But
I
he
think
said they
so.
were all expecting it to uh, that they'd have to keep doing retake after retake, and it would take hours and hours and hours. And these two had worked together so many times that they knew how to work with each other in the ring. Excuse me. And he said we worked out the match the night before, what we were going to do, and we went out there and did it. And within an hour or so, he's ready to go. They're done. They're like, what else you want us to do? We covered everything we needed to do. We didn't miss any spots. And that was it. And there was this big concern is that we're going to bring in a crowd, and what happens if we have to keep reshooting? They're going to know it's not real. It's
Oh, wow,
choreographed or
really?
something. And I'm thinking, now, why would that be an issue? Are you kidding me? That people would know that it's a movie. They shoot scenes. Even
Hmm.
if
This is Hulk
when they
Hogan
are in
for
the ring in the
Thomas.
WWF, that's a shoot, whatever. No, we're doing a movie. For people to think that would have been a tough sell, for people to understand, but in that case, it wasn't necessary. They just
No.
went, and for all intents and purposes, people thought, "Oh, that was a match. Okay, that was okay. We're done here. Lunch is in the cafeteria. Before you folks leave, and grab a soda." But Bill was such a professional, and he had worked with Terry several times, and Terry was comfortable with him, and they had done this. This part of the movie making was not new to them, and they went out there and did what they do. But I thought it was very cool that Bill was in there, and of course, no face paint, and we got to see the real hair like we did the last time that he wrestled with Demolition. Uh, Remember the fact that he had the blow dried hair.
Beautiful. It's
But then this
beautiful
one,
coiffed.
and he says that they flew his parents came in to see the shooting of the scene. Um, and Anyway, he said so when they went to the premiere and they watched the movie, and afterwards they said, "Well, where was Bill? We didn't see him." And they're like, it was at the beginning of the movie that they didn't recognize him.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. So maybe they did. Maybe they weren't at the taping or the shooting of it. But when they saw it, they didn't recognize their own son in the ring, as the story goes.
Damn.
But
That's
it
a good
just
story.
shows that he was completely different character, different person in that movie, and I thought it was cool that he was in it
Yeah.
to see these cameos of people, and there were a lot of them in that movie.
Oh, he keeps
Just like
popping up
people that you didn't
everywhere.
really know, but a lot of wrestlers were involved in that movie.
It's interesting because when you see the promotional work of like you have Ultimate Warrior doing a video where he's working out and he's like, "You gotta
Yeah,
go see No Holds Barred,"
yeah, yeah.
and then you got Genius and you got Brother Love, the Bushwhackers, everyone's on
Promoting.
that train. Get on that train and promote this movie because if it does well, maybe you'll be in the next movie. And it's weird because I was thinking recently about our SummerSlam '91 conversation where it's like Warrior wants all this money because he thinks he's equal to Hogan. I'm like, bro, if you were in this movie, it would be over in 5 minutes. Like, what would Warrior would have done for
Oh,
No Holds
yeah.
Barred? Like
Oh, yeah.
Hogan's trying to cry, Hogan's trying to act, he's doing everything. Dookie, like whatever. Like Warrior couldn't have done
Oh,
that.
yeah. The love scenes with Ultimate Warrior.
Imagine if it was though, like it is the Warrior
That would be
character.
great. Somebody's got to do an AI version of that with
Holy
Ultimate Warrior
moly!
as Rip Thomas, and the
Oh
love scene with the hotel scene with Joan Severance, or him consoling her after she's been almost raped.
yeah, yeah.
You
Did you
know,
hear me laugh? Did you
yeah.
hear me laugh? I was being attacked. Yeah, I was telling jokes though.
You're,
So
I understand you're mere mortal. It would
that's it.
be
Yeah.
hard to take that when a man tries to do something to you. You don't want him to.
I would have
Give me
loved
a
it.
kiss. Come on.
Give me a kiss. But
Here,
seriously, I had
hug,
that.
hug, hug. Sorry, too hard. Too hard. Sorry.
And
Back,
she's
back.
dead.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't
she's
mean
dead.
to invade your space.
Oh my God, dude. But seriously, I had that thought earlier. I was after watching the whole spot, I was like, Warrior wanted to be equal on all grounds. You couldn't have done this. Like, I'm sorry. Like, even like I said, Hogan crying, Hogan doing everything. Yes, over the top, but still, he did try all these things,
Yeah,
and to his best of his ability.
yeah,
Warrior couldn't have done that. So I'm still on the side of don't ask for equal money of Hulk Hogan. You're not Hulk Hogan. No, no
yeah.
disparaging Warrior. I don't want this to be a bashing of Warrior, but so you have No Holds
Another
Barred.
episode.
Yes, that's definitely a different episode. We've probably covered a couple different times. But the final battle of this movie is Brell kidnaps Samantha, as anyone does, who's evil, who can't get what they want, and everyone, the board of directors, is all fine. It's like they are all about Brell. Like, yeah, you want to do these crazy things? No problem, as long as the ratings are up, Mister Turner. I mean
Yeah,
Brell.
yeah.
Um, the arena is destroyed during the fight. There are fans though. We accidentally have Brell accidentally get electrocuted
Electrocuted at
himself
the end.
after smashing equipment in anger. Rip wins and saves the day. Everyone is happy, and we pose. Ah,
That's the way it's supposed to end.
I no, 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 that's fine.
Well,
But
no.
I think honestly, like, I don't have problems with this movie except for the editing. Like, it's an 80s movie with crazy things are happening. We're having fight scenes. We save the girl. We fight the evil empire. Like, I don't have any problems with that. It's the editing for me that's a problem because it's just
Yeah,
everything lasts too long.
right. But you're one of those guys too that you see you spot the boom in the shot,
True. Maybe that's my
right? You
fault.
know,
That's my
because
fault.
that's your background, and most people were very forgiving as far as that, um, and you know the fight scenes and the whole thing. But I my biggest problem was just the storytelling, the way they did it.
Hmm.
I said the premise of it was, you know, all could have worked. I mean, if you it's you know Rocky, when somebody would have presented that movie to you, and I'm sure that this happened with Sylvester Stallone too. It's a simple story. He found a new way to do it in a sense, but when you get laid the story out, it's very simple. It's
Yeah.
you know the star, the evil network executive wants to take over. He gets a woman to try and trick the guy, and then she falls in love with it. You know, we went through this whole thing. So
Sure.
the laying that out is, you know, overall, you're like, okay, you can see how the story is just how you tell it. And you have to be believable in that sense. You have to believe those characters, what they have to be able to act it. And as I said at the top of this, I don't, you know, people don't realize until you are given, you know, I've had opportunities to do what you would call, you know, acting,
Mm.
and I'm thinking, yeah, I could do this, and then you do it, and you're like, oh my God, this is hard, to be believable. Like people have that ability, and I don't know what it is with actors and how they are able to do that, but they are able to, you know, take lines that you have to memorize and deliver them as though it's coming out of your brain right then, and it's all believable, and you know the difference.
Oh yeah.
Right. You see anybody on TV, they can say the same sentence, and one of them says it, and you're going, "Oh my God, that was fake," and then this guy says it, and you believe him, and that's the difference. And I don't know, you know, is it a gift? Is it something you can learn? I don't know, but I do have tremendous respect having been around some of these people and see how they do it. It's just I don't know. Like some people just have it and others don't. And that was one of those things with, you know, Hulk was great at doing Hulk, the Hulkster, and because he became that guy. There's no
Yeah.
question about it. But as far as someone else giving him lines, and it wasn't a stretch. He was the same guy that he is, but he still couldn't make those lines coming out of his mouth believable.
Uh,
And that's the difference in a lot of you know movies like that you just, oh man, it's hard. It's really difficult to be that believable, and it is. And since maybe some of them it's like breathing, but other people, no matter what they do, they could never do it.
That reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Kramer is like, "These pretzels are making me thirsty. These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Yes.
These pretzels are making me thirsty." Like, yeah, just emphasizing what part of the word. But you're right about
Yeah.
that. Like some people, you've seen them transform into these characters in
Yeah.
movies.
And you mentioned Seinfeld there, and I know that you know George was a trained actor. Louis Dreyfus was a trained actor, and they talk about how Seinfeld was not. And in those early episodes, it was tough. They talk about it was difficult to work with him because he was bad. Now he got better, no question about that. I mean, please, what did that
That show, yeah.
sitcom become? But it just shows you that there is a major difference between people that are trained to do it or have that and those that don't. And there's nothing you can do about it. They either get it or you don't. But this was, certainly a situation. I'm sure that Kurt Fuller was well aware of that there's only so much we can do with this. And I'm getting a big opportunity here, so let's get through it. And I'm sure Joan Severance, I haven't seen an interview with her talking about it, but I'm sure that you know the limitations were obvious, and that's just the way it kind of sums it all up. It just was the idea of it was not that far out. You could have made it work. Thousands of movies have been made with these simple plots that are great because of the acting and the way the story's told.
And some people, like, again, when we talk about pay-per-views or wrestlers, sometimes I forget that maybe this is someone's favorite movie. And like this movie, they're upset with us talking about it in this
Yeah,
light. But like these are our opinions. But sometimes when you look at it by numbers, you're like, technically, this movie was a success.
success. Yeah,
Because you spent the money, you made your money, you doubled your profits. I know you spent money on ads, posters, the red carpet, like little things like that. Every movie does, but technically a success in the realm of did you win your money back? Yes,
yes.
but you
Well, it could have been a
Zeus.
disaster.
Oh my
It
god!
could have
Imagine you
not
spend eight
even made
million
a
dollars
million
and
or
no one
something.
shows up.
Right.
Like not one person. Like, oh, we got a wrestling crowd. They're here, but like this is only a matinee. Maybe no one else is going to be there. Opening up to again, what was it, 1,500 theaters?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,318. But after the movie's in, we have again SummerSlam '89. Zeus is featured. Zeus is featured all summer long and in November of '89. But in December 27th, 1989, we have No Holds Barred, the match, the movie. You can pay $11.95 to watch this movie from your home on pay-per-view. And after the movie's over, you are going to get to watch a steel cage match between Hogan, Beefcake, Zeus, and the Macho King Randy Savage. So
Yeah.
this event is hyped like no other. I watched this on YouTube the other day, and I couldn't believe before the movie starts, it's Mean Gene explaining how exciting this movie is going to be. And in the match, we go to Tony Schiavone. He does the same exact thing. Then we go to you, and you are inside the steel cage explaining how this is such a monumental moment, and we all have to be here to see it.
Yes.
Again, the hype machine is here for this movie, especially before it even starts.
Yeah. It was hype at its peak. And it was the hard sell. And I remember I've told the story too, where I was trying to do that steel cage promo and Vince had to come down because I couldn't get it.
Oh,
Yeah, I came down from the control room and I thought, oh, this is it. Because I didn't understand the assignment. I was kind of, and what's the famous line I said that
the famous
Bill
line
Cage isn't going
is,
to feel pain, but the wrestlers in this ring certainly are. And
yes,
that was Vince's line. And I'm thinking, what? No, I'm going to get skewered for that line. That's so dumb.
here we are talking about it. That
Most
is a great
memorable line.
The cage won't
This
feel
cage
pain
isn't going to feel pain,
when someone hits
but
it.
yeah,
The wrestler certainly will. Say it
maybe
like
that's
that,
why I couldn't
Mooney.
get it. Well, maybe that's why I couldn't. I think I was going. So the cage doesn't feel pain. What does that mean?
Why would it feel pain?
And I remember Kerwin saying Vince is coming down. I'm like, oh shit, because they were up in the control room and I'm down there in the cage.
Oh my lord! Yeah, you're describing it, feeling trapped. I'm feeling confined to this cage. Your method acting was coming out. I liked it. I could feel it.
Oh, well, and of course, you failed to mention all of the tremendous performances that I had in Coliseum home video.
I
Okay?
never, ever, 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 don't
Yeah.
ever question me not praising your Coliseum videos.
Yeah, okay. That was fine. I mean,
Star Trek,
fine
old
acting.
westerns.
Forget Brando, De Niro. They got
Mooney.
nothing on me. Nothing on me.
I do like, but you're right. That it's so funny because you look up anything about this event, and the one thing that always pops up is Mooney says the cage won't feel pain when someone hits it. The wrestler certainly will. I'm like, man, really? People are harping on that 30 years later.
Yeah, anybody mock me for that? Nah.
No, not in the WWF.
I'm sorry, I can't claim it, but I own it.
You
I
could
do
own
own it. That's for sure. I said it.
Now, during this movie, we do get commercials randomly for the Royal Rumble 1990, and throughout this event, this pay-per-view highlighting the movie in the match, it also
Mhm.
seems to be just like Survivor Series 91 was doing, is this turns into a promotional tool, like I guess it should, to promote SummerSlam 1990. Another brilliant thing I don't think wrestling fans give Vince credit for, like, oh, we're gonna make you pay $12 to watch us, but we're also going to tell you
Then
you
we're
should
gonna
pay $30
give you
to watch
another one right
this.
down your throat. Yeah, it's coming. We got more for you, folks. We won't even let you catch your breath.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope. Nope. It's one of those most bizarre stories of the night because again, you have an audience who's already there paying for it. You're already watching Superstars Wrestling Challenges, but we're going to promote Royal Rumble 1990, highlighting, there's Hogan talking about it. There's the Widowmaker, Coco Beware. Some of these wrestlers don't even make it into that Royal Rumble. The Widowmaker definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, did Vince always just see? Because now I never saw this as a child, but as I grow up, every event is to promote the
Oh
next
yeah. Never
event.
miss an opportunity. Never miss an opportunity to promote. And when you have a captive audience, literally, that why are they
Yeah.
there, right? They
Yeah.
paid their money already, so they're already someone who is primed to do it again. And so absolutely you're going to take full advantage. And I think that we even probably had merchandise stuff going on in there, how you can get merchandise. We would plug the crap out of that
Oh yeah.
to because you've got your core audience. It's the same thing, like we had them. Those are the only people who are watching this. Which is another thing, talking about how to the marvel of the promotion that they did back then really needs to be a case study of early, developing all of these advertising methods to
Hmm.
reach an audience, and they were doing it. So brilliant on that part. And you've got people there, they're already motivated. They say, once you get that fish, you've got them. They're in the pool, they're in the pond there for you. And so you're going to try and sell them everything you can. And it was always deliver, deliver the product. Don't mislead them. Don't bait
Hmm.
and switch here. I mean, we always delivered whatever it was that they were telling them that they were going to see. So it wasn't by any means false advertising or leading people on or what. They were there, and they had that choice whether or not to contact your cable systems.
Right, right.
Tell me you want more WWF wrestling. Is how much did we do that? But that was fair game. That was exactly what they should have done, taken advantage of that. And that even that event they delivered. You got to see the movie, and then you got this cage match. So
It's a good deal.
it was $12. I think it was 12 or $13 then, which I'm not downplaying. That wasn't a lot of money, but really for what they delivered, and people would always do that and invite 30 people over to the house and make a party out of it.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing too is like if you think of pay-per-views, to rent a movie in 1989 was like $5. So what
Hmm.
they're saying is like, hey, pay another $5, well, another seven, and you'll get a match too. Like we're gonna give you Hogan and Zeus and Macho Man and Beefcake in a steel cage. So you're paying $12 for one match and to watch a movie. But
Yeah.
another bizarre storyline throughout the night is Gene Okerlund is and so do you and Tony, remind us a bunch of different times that you need to call your cable companies that you want to watch WWF pay-per-views because at this time Vince is having problems with the pay-per-view companies over distribution and money splitting. Who should get the bigger slice of the pie? So you constantly are telling us at home like, "Hey, I know you like this, but you know what you should do is call your cable company because they're being dicks about our money." Like that was the
Yeah.
undertone throughout this as well. Another thing where Vince McMahon isn't afraid. Like I think people keep forgetting. Like Vince was like, I know how good our product is, so don't try to steal from my pockets. We can all get rich together, but don't try to screw me out of my percentage. And that's definitely here while he's claiming that, even Hulk Hogan. Little Hulksters had already placed bets on him winning, so we need to see him at the Royal Rumble. So tell your cable providers. That's some heavy stuff.
Yeah, and that was in Vince's eyes too. He understood that the power of these voices, that these cable operators are going. If you get everything's magnified, it's the same thing. We get two calls in a newsroom about some story, and everybody panics. Like, oh,
Right.
they're upset about this. We have to do something. So, imagine if you're getting thousands of calls or hundreds of your local cable system, and you're going, man, these people are really upset. That really resonates because they don't respond to all this lauding it and saying everything's great or whatever. It's always the negative that they freak out
Oh
about.
yeah.
And if there's and their thought was, we get enough people, they're going to listen, and they did. I don't know if at this point everything had been settled, which was kind of interesting because Vince kept hammering away
Hmm.
at this. He did. He kept doing that about cable companies, but I think it was just to remind them that, hey, we're a big force here.
Right.
Don't f with us.
Hmm.
Let's work together and make this work, and then we all can make money.
Yeah.
So when you would get these, and these cable companies were separate entities. It wasn't like you had Xfinity that
Right. Right.
owned
Right.
everything. You would have these small cable operators that would across the country that would have regions or areas, and so they could control their product in a sense. They would have to take certain things, but they could also model it the way they wanted to, depending on their market. So they really did have to. It was almost like dealing with a local station that was an independent operator. But these guys had a much bigger reach because they might be in a whole area of the Southwest or something, and they would have to. So that was the motivation behind all of that. But it was, that cable world was relatively gaining ground every day, but it was still in the early days of it, and there was a lot going on. So Vince, that was these guys would be able to stand up to him and say, we're not going to put your product because WCW wants to give us more money,
Mm.
and that was a war that went on for a long time.
Oh yeah. Until about probably like 2001.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the end of Zeus in the WWF. Hogan wins this match, three leg drops, Zeus gets pinned, Savage MVP, so is Sherry, of course. But Zeus is out of the WWF. We do not see him anymore after this. There's no Royal Rumble appearance. He's squashing jobbers. Like, he is gone forever. And Macho Man, I don't think it gets enough credit either, as he was partnered with Zeus. So anytime Zeus was around, Macho's probably working twice as hard because he's the one bumping the most. Zeus can't bump. He's supposed to be this undestructive force. You can't knock him over, things like that. But when you think about it, Vince squeezed every ounce of pennies and dollars
Yeah.
out of Zeus and
Hmm.
Noel's Bard, especially here, 2 days after Christmas. You have an event and people are paying to see it, and it's technically a success. So, what do you think about it all together? Like, not just the movie, but like everything that we got a character out of it, we got storylines out of it, pay per views, three of them. So, not a bad thing to happen to the WWF.
No, not at all. And as you said, they squeezed everything they possibly could out of that. It was going to run its course. There was no question about it. But, you know, Tiny was limited. It wasn't as though you were going to put him in the rotation. He was going to be a superstar. He did not have that ability, he didn't have that training. And so, and the character, could they, if he was a skilled wrestler, they trained him to be, as we've seen guys do from other worlds, learn how to do this. But that was going to happen with him. He did not have that ability. So they ran its course, and for Tiny, that was one of the greatest things I think that ever happened to him in his career. It put him, nobody had really knew who he was before then.
Mm, of
Said that one character that he was in the movie, Debo, people remember him for that.
course.
But
Big character.
other than that, but what do you remember him today? He was Zeus. Anybody
Yeah,
talks about Tiny Lister. So it was a great profile for him. I'm sure he made a lot of money.
I'm sure.
I'm sure he made a lot of money. So he couldn't have been, and I don't think he had ill feelings towards that whole episode of being involved. It was a great idea. I mean, it could have been just the movie and like, see you later, thanks.
Right.
Look at the run he got out of that. So um, overall, it's just too bad it couldn't have been a better movie. We probably maybe we'd be having a different discussion. But for
Oh yeah.
most everybody, if they're honest, it was just not a very good movie. But at the same time, Stephen, you were a young kid then,
Mm,
really. When you look back, and I'm sure other kids, it delivered everything they wanted. It didn't matter what
yes,
Hulk Hogan did.
of
If
course.
he's on the screen, he's the hero. He wins in the end. Beats guys up. You know, the girls, the girl loves him. It was everything that they would want, and I'm sure thousands of kids left the movie theater just thinking it was one of the greatest movies they ever saw. And to this day, as they see it through those eyes, they still remember it that way. So I apologize to you out there listening that may feel that way, and I understand it. I get it. I saw it happen firsthand. I saw the way people reacted to Hulkamania, and to this day, and I see when I go to these shows that when I was in Canada a few weeks ago, and people coming up and just talking about them being kids and how much it was just the most wonderful world to be involved in and to be a Hulkamaniac, and how much they miss him. How much that day that they found out that he had passed, that they couldn't go to work.
Yeah,
I
of
get
course.
it. I know what that meant to everybody. And as far as all that went, and all of his movies, whatever he did, The Nanny, and all those movies, people that were Terry Bollea fans, that were Hulk Hogan fans, I should say, they loved him. And what didn't really matter what he did on screen, they were going to still love him when they walked out of that theater.
100%. I did ask on Instagram, Primetime with Sean Mooney, hey, did you see this movie in the theaters? Like, what'd you think? It's interesting because a lot of comments are, they did go to see this in the theater.
Hmm.
The real Shades 01 says loved it. Oh, went to opening night. It says handsome Tim YD. Stitchy 79 here in Germany. The title's called Der Hammer. I don't know if that's true or not. Faith Lover Fear. I literally begged my parents to go see this, and we saw it, and my sister wasn't too thrilled about it.
No, she
Perfect.
wasn't a fan going in then.
She wasn't a fan going in. She
Yeah,
wanted to see Sister Act
yeah,
that was probably
yeah.
playing.
And
But
probably when they
again,
did Dookie, she didn't think that was funny.
oh my god,
Right?
dude.
Dookie. Yeah,
Dookie. Number one
yeah.
thing people think about, but it didn't stop Vince McMahon from opening the WBF or XFL or starting another movie company many years later with See No
Yeah.
Evil starring Kane, Glenn
Didn't
Jacobs.
learn
So
his lesson.
didn't learn his lesson, folks. He kept going because that's Vince
God
McMahon
love
for
him. Yeah,
you.
he was gonna prove he could do more than wrestling, no matter what.
Yep. But we're
Just
still
never
talking
quite
about
worked
him
out.
and
Yeah,
wrestling. But
yeah.
again, thank you so much, everyone, for enjoying us talk about No Holds Barred, the match, the movie. I hope you maybe saw it in theaters. And if not, it's free on YouTube. So if you want to watch it, it's free on YouTube. So that's pretty awesome. But Mooney, final thoughts?
Well, I think it delivered everything as promised. If you were a Hulk Hogan fan, you were not disappointed. Other people going in, I would have liked. I wish it would have been a better movie, better executed. But overall, it was respectable. It we'll never know. Did it make money when it all came down to it? But I think it was like a total of 16 million. So come
Yeah.
on, back then was a respectable box office. but it also showed it helped in the sense that it showed that someone from the world of professional wrestling could do a blockbuster movie, and let's call it that's what the way it was delivered. I mean, after you're in over 1,000 theaters, that's a big movie, and as we have seen, other professional wrestlers would go on and become well respected in the industry and do millions and millions of dollars worth of box office. I think they owe a little credit to that to Terry Bollea, to Hulk Hogan. And, look, as I said about the promotion aspect of it, it was brilliant. They had this in, as they said, they would come in, they always worked backwards. And the culmination of it was they were going to do this big pay-per-view, and we're going to show the movie. And I mean, all of this was planned ahead. In that sense, it was a promotional success. It also showed that they could do another type of pay-per-view that wasn't just matches, that you could do something else like show the movie and then have a match. It was just back then I marveled at how they promoted events. So, overall that way you have to see it as a success. As far if you're a purist and or a movie just want to go to be, it didn't deliver for you. But I think overall it was a great event in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, WWE, because it accomplished a lot for them. It really did in the end.
And I think that if Indiana Jones wasn't coming out that weekend, we would have had a number one.
Number one, yeah, maybe.
No, maybe, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, we never know. But either way, I'm Steve Ball. He's Sean Mooney. Have a wonderful day, and don't dookie your pants.
No.
Bye.